Coming in about 8,180 pounds as you see it outfitted here today. This is a 2-slide private bunkhouse Wildwood 32BHDS here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. It is going to be an awesome model. If what you're looking for is that extra living space where you might spend some time inside, maybe spend a longer time in the RV, and if it rains, you don't want to be tripping and stomping all over each other, and sometimes you need that private room in the back to put the kids away before they drive you a little bit crazy. I think any parent knows what I mean. Taking a quick peek inside here, you can see it gives us a nice spacious living room slide, great kitchen capacity. We'll see that in greater detail. And then the private rear bunkhouse has what they call the Versa Queen, and that goes hand in hand with, in the living room, we have the Versa Lounge. Stay tuned to the end of the video to get to see that Versa Lounge in full screaming detail. We're going to spend about 5 or 6 minutes really opening that up. Having a direct entry door to the bathroom from the outside, as well as having a fridge outside in the camp kitchen, makes this thing really good at keeping foot traffic down, and it keeps a big focus on the family so you don't have really big interruptions, and it limits those distractions and breaking away from family time. This is a really cool model with a lot of great features. We will always show you the highs with the lows, the goods with the bads, and always try to shoot you straight. For instance, the weight of this very nicely fits within a lot of the heavier half-ton tow ratings. However, it is a fairly long trailer with 2 slides. There's just no other way around it. If you want a living room slide, a private bedroom, a private bunk room, it's gonna have to be about this long. But that being said, proper hitching, proper weight distributing hitches, and some other things can help keep you safe on the road. Now, for individual towing scenarios, best advisory is always to contact our team directly here at Haylett RV, because the more we know about you, where you camp, how you camp, when you camp, the better equipped we are. I think I've talked enough. Let's hop inside, because there's a lot of good to be found in this one. Now, we have a lot to cover, and I know that my videos run long, but I think that if you're really serious about doing this, you're going to appreciate the extra information here. Like the fact that a full Wildwood like this versus an X-Lite has a 6'9" ceiling. X-Lites are 6.5, which is industry standard. This is a little bit taller. That's a quality shared with all the 8-foot wide Catalinas and the 8-foot wide J-Flights here at Haylett RV. So it's not the only one that does that, but it is really nice that they offer a little more headroom in the shower, a little bit bigger slides, more bunk room, some taller cabinets. I'll mention it a few times, but at the end of this video, we are going to see the Versa Lounge that we're looking at here, the convertible sofa dining, super storage, sleeper, sofa, Swiss Army thing. It only does everything in serious detail at the end of the video. But I don't want to hold up the whole show. If you want to learn more about that, either hang tight or skip to the end of the video. What I want to look at here are some more in-depth things. Like, let's start by looking at the kitchen space that's a little, more specific to this floor plan versus something that's generic to any Wildwood model. Now, starting up top here, something Wildwood's awesome about, whether it's the full 6'9" Wildwood that we're in right now, or the 6.5 foot tall inside X-Lite series, they put a shelf in the overhead cabinet to really kind of double up that storage. Now, speaking of extra storage, over here next to the 10.7 cubic foot DC compression fridge, you have a full floor to ceiling pantry. Now, Wildwood was the first in this class, and really pretty much the first mainstream manufacturer to standardize the use of that bigger 12-volt compression fridge. And it draws surprisingly low power. We'll discuss that more outside when we talk about the portable solar prep. Below the sink here, I mean, you see a space for a huge wastebasket, and I don't want to miss the little notes of storage that we have around the entertainment center below the electric space heating fireplace, plus that clutter-cutting shoe garage down there is always a nerd-preferred feature. Over top of the sealed edge countertops that we're looking at, we also have easy reach outlets, and there's 4 of them there. So if you want to plug in some USB adapters and some kitchen appliances, you can do all that stuff. You never really have to decide, do I do I charge my phone or do I run the coffee pot? You can do both here in the Wildwood. Then right next door, we have drawers inside a door. Now, I always try to be fair, and I will even point out things that I don't always love about the RVs that we sell here at Haylett RV. Rarely is anything like, oh, I would never buy the RV or use it because of that. I would prefer if they just had handles on the front and they were direct pull drawers. But at the same time, it's really not that big of a deal to me. It's just one of those little kind of things. Now, when we start getting into multi-slide Wildwoods like this, Typically what I do here at Haylett RV is I will outfit them with the larger 15,000 BTU air, and that is a Coleman quiet running air conditioner, similar to what you find in, well, a lot of brands. This has become really like the dominant air conditioner in this class lately. It's not as quiet as a whisper ducted system, but it's a lot quieter than a just completely untreated system effectively. Another nice thing here, it's very similar to what you see in some of the other campers that we have, but our air conditioning ducts you can kind of control a little bit individually. Not every air conditioning system, not every set of ductwork allows you to turn and close them individually. Now, all of our ceiling lights are on one switch, but you can still maintain control of them individually. And I guess it should be noted that you do also have this accent light above the slide. I failed to mention that one time, thinking folks understood it. And I get that not everybody lives in the RV industry like I do, but somebody looked at it and said, well, obviously the slide's not sealing properly because I can see daylight shining through. No, that's not the case. It's an accent light. It's 12 volt. There you have it. Now, in our flash footage, you got to see the windows over here open briefly so I could show you the panoramic look, but they're so big and flood the RV with so much light, it's kind of camera prohibitive. So I just want to give you another nice thing on these windows is on the inside, they're nice and dark and they block the sun out, but on the back side of them from the outside, they also have like a stark white backliner, and that will really help reflect a ton of sunlight, and it keeps a ton of heat out of here. Now, one other thing I want to show you, it's just at a tricky angle, so it's hard for me to do on a still photo most of the time, is over here in what we're going to kind of call the hallway, the transition space between the kitchen and the bathroom. You have this big chunk of space. Now, behind it, underneath it, there's some of our function stuff on the outside of the RV. But in here on the inside, if we crack that open and take a look, you see that there is just, tons of hanging space. You could add some shelves in there if you needed to. And then down below it, there are 4 dresser drawers. So this could easily act as something like a space to put socks, underwear, having dedicated stuff like that for the kids is great. You'll see that you have more dedicated storage in the bunk room. And please stay tuned to the end of the video or just skip ahead, because underneath the entire Versa Lounge, you will also see gobs of storage capacity. And I don't want you to miss that, because this sofa setup is something that is amazing. And mark my words, by next year, you're going to watch more and more brands copy some form of it. Now, right across from what I'm calling that hallway area is our bathroom here. Now, you see that it has a direct entry door straight from outside. Don't forget that has a deadbolt, so you don't got to worry about somebody walking in on you. This is a simple kind of fan up here, whereas, something like a lot of the Cherokee stuff might have a bigger fan. But the good news is, if that's the only thing stopping you from going Wildwood camping, you call our team here at Haylett RV. We can do that kind of stuff. We have all kinds of different fan upgrade options. Now, you may have noticed, and I know that I mentioned it, but whether it's the kitchen counter or the dining table or anything, here in these Wildwoods, all of our countertops are going to be that sealed edge press membrane material. So if you do splash some water on that sink, hey man, no big deal. Now, you notice that they've gone away from tubs. They are showers here. And a lot of people that throws them at first say, that doesn't make sense. Wouldn't a bunkhouse have a tub? And the thing is, campers like this don't typically hold enough water to, be able to sit there and take just a big old bath. And there's enough of a lip on here. If you've got a little one, a little baby or something like that, you could still take the shower wand and you could easily clean them off. In the meantime, though, for folks who don't want to step over a tub to get in the shower, you're going to appreciate this here. Frankly, it's easier to get into for kids and adults. Now, one of the other things I like, I've mentioned it a few times, but that taller ceiling is going to offer some extra headroom in the shower for big, wacky goofballs like me. Another thing I appreciated is I'm a long-legged dude. That's part of where my height comes from. And there was plenty of legroom around this toilet. I did not feel cramped or really starved for space in there. Now, from here, I'm using the Force to open that door. Thank you, Obi-Wan Kenobi, for the quick little over-lunch lesson. And it also could just be the fact that the RV is not leveled right now, so the nose of the trailer's down a little bit lower. But hey, whatever. I'll take it as I get it, right? Anyway, the point I'm making here is that this has a private rear bunk room, and that slide over there, plus the way that they have the entertainment and the Versa Queen set up, it makes this one of the most flexible bunk rooms you can get. Now, if I'm going to be picky, I will admit, I am personally a fan of those like cube style sofas, only for the sole fact that I can convert them into the Nerf Battle Fort, which I can't do here. So I am going to subtract 1 point from my score in this one, but at the same time, I'm also going to add 5 for the fact that this is a way nicer seating sofa when it's in the daytime position like this. But as you notice, if we take a quick look, that door closed, you've got a flip down overhead bunk right there, and then this opens up into like a queen bed down below, and it is way thicker than those little cube things. So if what you're looking for is a more comfortable daytime seating arrangement and a better nighttime sleeping arrangement, this can do it. Now, this is a 3-bed bunk room because it does have a big camp kitchen, which sucks up one of the beds. You have to use that space for the camp kitchen. But with that big queen bed down below, it's still capable of sleeping 4 back here. Now, you saw there were some power outlets and USB plugs down there for that lower bed. You see that there's USB plugs up here as well. And this is what I'm going to call a little bit of a big kid bunk. You hear me talk about that in campers quite often. So if you've got some, it's the same roughly 72, 74-inch length. I got to hard measure that to make sure. It's not that it's necessarily longer, but a bigger kid, or if I were sleeping in this, I could sleep corner to corner and I could make it work. You know, I'd do just fine. Now, down below here, if we crack that open and take a look, you see that you've got some decent space and storage for the kiddos in here. And that is something that so many bunk rooms lack. A built-in bunk ladder, and if you choose to put a TV in here, you've got the perfect space directly across from the sofa, basically where we're at right now. If you don't choose to put a TV in there, you could easily add some shelving or just leave it open, decorate it, whatever works for you. Something else I like about this, just like the main living room, the bunk room just has main cabin light switch. When you want to say, okay, kids, lights off, you can do it. I want to talk about this real quick because this is smart and this is potentially saving you thousands of dollars of damage and lost camping time. By having the bunk room slide button all the way back here, you have to be standing where you can physically see the bunk room open and close to make sure that it's unimpeded, because the last thing you want is to find out that the kids left something on the floor and it smashed it got into the slide and it got crushed and screwed something up. It can happen. I don't want it to happen. I'm saying that it's nice that Wildwood avoided that. There's also little details too, like a digital thermostat. And that is like, if you get on the how-to camping forums, one of the first things they tell you to do is change the thermostat out for a digital. Wildwood just does it for you. Now, we said we'd come back and take a look at the entertainment center. I think this is where the Versa Lounge really shines. Because if you just glance at this, if this were a traditional fixed 2-bench dinette and sofa that only points inward toward the center of the RV, that is what I would call a 90-degree neck-wrecker entertainment center. But the way this Versa Lounge allows you to kind of nuzzle up in the corner and twist your way around and face that TV, I'm not saying it's the same as a fifth-wheel direct-facing theater seat. I'm saying that it's also not too bad to be able to take a gander over here. And man, they leave that wall intentionally bare. Like, it looks a little plain right now, but it leaves you space if you want to decorate, you want to put up family pictures, or if you just want to put up a monster-sized television, you could. Now, there's the TV backer in the wall there. I would say if you're going to get a really big TV, you might want to do some extra bulking, but, you know, the space is there if you want to do it. And even that countertop is that same sealed edge stuff we were telling you about. You see how that little rubber kind of plug is in there? If you want to run some HDMI cords or whatever up, down, and through down to that Bluetooth entertainment speaker bar, you can do that too. It's very easy to reach. And that does have an HDMI plug and powered USB plug on it. So if you want to get like a Roku stick or something, you can do that there. Now, the electric space heating fireplace has given us a nice way to get some heat into the RV without burning up our propane. I will tell you, you can also use it without the heat though. So like you're like, man, I live where it's hot. I ain't camping when it's cold. I totally respect that. I get that. I don't know that I necessarily do a lot myself. I do some spring and fall camping, but not like Arctic camping or anything. But I do like the lights that it gives, and it's also a really cool little night light for the kiddos to be able to, you know, navigate through and see around. That plus the light above the door slide. I'm looking at the door, sorry. Now again, I try to be fair. If I could change one thing on this camper, I'd put a window in that door. I know that Cherokee heard that a lot. I know that Cherokee recently did it, and I know a lot of people are responding well to it, and I know that's going to make my Wildwood guys' ears bleed and teeth grind a little bit saying that, but facts is facts. That's my personal viewpoint. Some people like no window in the door, and there is frankly an advantage to it. No window in the door gives you more privacy, and it does help with heating and cooling because it's one less, like, windows in campers, guys, they're an R.7. They're not even an R1. You know, there's very little insulative quality there. So one less hole in the wall, ain't all bad. If you want to put a TV in the bedroom, it would go up here. And neat little detail factor. A couple brands have gone to this year. Instead of tape on where this wallboard meets this wallboard, it's actually a plastic T-mold that clips into there. And they're doing the same thing in the ceiling. So that if it gets hot, if it gets cold, if it gets humid, a tape over time used to be able to kind of curl and peel off the wall, and you're not going to have to deal with that here now. Now, the bedroom of this is pretty sweet. We've got cross breeze windows on both sides of the bed. These are Camp Queens. All Wildwoods are Camp Queens. However, they intentionally build this knowing that a lot of people might change that around. So they leave you plenty of room. If you want to put a true queen in here and still be able to walk around the bed, you can do that on a Wildwood. Now, they also do a couple of really sweet storage things here. Like if you look over here, you see that there's a USB plug, then there's kind of a hole in the side of that cabinet. Well, if we open that up on the other side, you notice how there's household outlets inside that cabinet. That is a perfect place if you want a CPAP machine in there. You can keep it kind of in there, out of the way, not sort of where everybody can see it if they walk through, although you do have that privacy door over there, so most people aren't going to be able to see it. It's like my wife says that she needs to have all the pillows on the bed in case people come over. I'm like, what? People are in our bedroom. I don't know that I'm okay with that. It's a joke, obviously. You get what I mean. Now, also speaking of storage, we're not done. We got to get under here. Thankfully, with those double struts and that plywood base, it is easy as pie to get down here. And you see that you've got 4 of these little cube organizers with a handy shoe garage down below that. So in a way, this is almost acting like our dresser. And don't forget, we also have all the storage below the Versa Lounge you haven't seen yet. You will catch that at the end of the video if you decide to hang tight with us or skip ahead. Now, if we nudge that slide closed, look at her in travel mode, you can see that the way that Versa Lounge kind of wraps around the peninsula countertop, it works very nicely here. It allows us to get through. We can get in, get to the pantry, get to the fridge. Now, the question becomes, what about the bathroom and the bunk room? I suppose, if you don't mind doing a little crawling and a little sliding, a little bumping, a little grinding, you could slip through there, get past that door handle, and get back to that area. But the thing is, you don't really need to. And that's because we have that second door here straight into the bathroom, as we have already talked about previously. But here is the one rub, bub. You walk through here and you say, oh, if I open that door, I could get back to the bunk room. Hard fact is, no, you really can't. You do get a good look at my slacks today. They are looking awful nice. But even if I could get you past here, which I can't, you're like, oh, well, that door opens inward. You got to remember there's a slide out directly behind it. So you can't exactly, well, not can't exactly, you literally can't get to the bunk room. That is one of the downfalls of this floor plan, and if you appreciate that, please hit that little subscribe button, follow along with us here, and know that even if it's something you maybe didn't think about, we'll always go out of our way to give you straight facts, good, bad, ugly, and otherwise here at Haylett RV. Something I really like here, compared to about 2 generations ago, is the white exterior with the kind of graphite and maybe a little bit of coppery accents that you find on the Wildwood color palette on the exterior. Compared to the old brown, and browner generation, I personally think it just looks way sharper, way cleaner. It'll also be cooler in the summertime since the white paint on that aluminum will soak up less heat. It's actually an interesting thing on what is called stick and tin trailers. Though a lot of people look down on conventionally constructed trailers like this, something interesting, they kind of, in a way, have like sort of a full body paint package like you'd pay tons and tons of money for on a big fifth wheel. It is way less inclined to do things like oxidize compared to a fiberglass skin trailer. It's way easier to repair, it costs less. It does weigh a little more. There's always advantages, disadvantages both ways. Now up front here, next to our power tongue jack, you've got a handy little kind of keep your stuff out of the mud hookup center. And Wildwood last year was doing the thing that you see with the 7-way plug called a plug buddy. But this year they've also kind of upgraded that to feature a place for our safety chain hooks there. So it's all in one spot. Now there's room here for 2 batteries. You get your first battery at no additional charge when you purchase from Haylett RV. And up front there you see a battery disconnect switch. Now we can just turn off the 12-volt fridge on the inside. Almost every 12-volt fridge at this point has a way to be hard shut off. Last year, some of them did not. And the manufacturers went, oh yeah, I guess I could see how that's going to be important. So they do now. But when the RV's in storage, you want to make sure your battery's not getting drained. that's when that 12-volt switch is really, really handy. Now, over here, you can see the just the little black nub on the sidewall. That's the magnet holdback for the baggage doors. And we'll get a better look at this from the back of the RV, but you see that yellow bar attached to the stabilizer jack? That is a strong arm stabilizer, and that, in conjunction with the stable steps that you have, will basically take almost all of the wiggling, jiggling out of the RV as people come and go, especially with kids. Now, the underbelly here looks a little bit different from almost everybody else in this class. Actually, the underbelly there looks far more similar to some of the luxury fifth wheels that Forest River puts out. That's because Wildwood basically said, I like what you're doing, luxury Forest River fifth wheels. That's mine now. And they call it the Accessibelly. They're drop panels that are about 8 foot long, section by section. What is nice is those can be individually dropped down instead of dropping the entire underbelly or cutting a hole in the underbelly that you then have to tape shut, which, yuck. The idea there being something that is more impact resistant if your tires fling rocks off the road, or I don't know, maybe you hit a raccoon or something. It sucks, but it can happen. And also something that it is enclosed and heated, which Wildwoods previously were not. Now, you can't really see it because it's kind of black on black. Let me get you up here a little bit closer. Remember, we got those white sides of the shades there reflecting a lot of sun, but in the upper corners of the slides, you see those little black rectangles. Those are prep points for slide awnings, and that has made it far simpler, far easier, and far less expensive to add things like slide awnings to RVs like this. Now, we like to add the spare tire to all of our Wildwoods we possibly can. We do the same thing like with our Cherokees here at Haylett RV. I don't care what RV it is. If it doesn't have a spare tire, we want to put one on it. I hope you never need it, but I want you to have one in case you do. The roof is fully walkable. It's a 3/8 roof decking with 16-inch on-center roof wooden studs, 16-inch on average wall studs, 12-inch on-center average floor studs with a 5/8 tug and groove plywood flooring. That kind of construction that I just rattled off is very similar to a Catalina, to a Cherokee, real similar also to a J-Flight here at Haylett RV. They all have found kind of the best way to put stuff together, and then they all kind of put their own little spin on it. Like, one of the things you can't see is where those outside speakers that we'll see in a minute. Remember this in the back of your head when we get there. Where they are screwed to the RV, Wildwood actually puts in a nice little piece of plywood right there. And they purposely use that specific wood for that specific area. So this is a brand that's really made as a primary alpha brand at Forest River. They're not made with like secondary leftover materials, and I think that really speaks volumes for what you're getting here for your dollar. And even on a gray skies kind of day like today, there's a lot of good fun to be had. And actually, I've always kind of felt that fall camping is some of the best camping because the campgrounds don't tend to be so overrun once the kiddos are back to school. Although this year there are certainly still a lot of kiddos out there doing remote learning, but such is life in the year of 2020. Let's take a look at this big camp kitchen, and it seems like full-size camp kitchens like this are becoming a little more rare. And Wildwood does something a little different here. I kind of like it. The grill, you may have noticed, was mounted on the bumper. It can actually swing around, and if I get you up a little closer here, you see that you actually have a variety of mounting angles. So if you want it a little bit closer to the overhead camp kitchen door, you can do that. If you want it kind of slung back here a little bit out of the way, you can do that too. Now, it's just a generic gas grill hookup, so if you prefer to use something like a Blackstone, you can do that here. Now, I want to give you a little bit of an update. This kind of supersedes a couple of the Wildwood videos I have already put out. Originally, when I discussed the Power Jacks option that was available on a Wildwood, it did not include the JT Strong Arm thing, and evidently somebody down there was watching my video, and either I was originally informed incorrectly, or they said, yeah, he makes a good point. So even the Power Jacks upgrade does offer the strong arm stabilizer things here. But again, with Wildwood coming with their, what we're going to call cordless jack drill bit, it just, I don't know, it seems like it's simpler, faster, easier to use what they're already including rather than spend extra money to get really the exact same end result. Now, the big camp kitchen here includes a full-size fridge, and this is a little different. They got like the triple, almost like elephant trunk looking coat hooks over here, but that'd be really handy for some tongs or something like that outside your big spatulas. The cargo netting up top can very easily come down in case you need to access that, but it does a really good job of keeping some big bulky cargo up there without adding a lot of weight or cost. She is outside TV ready in this camp kitchen, full a real sink with a real drain inside a galvanized rolled steel counter. And something I really appreciate Wildwood does a good job, they keep this countertop low. Like, I'm 6'3", to give you a barometer. This is at about my belt line, roughly, the countertop, as opposed to up by the old chesticles. And it's incredible, especially, that's more common in fifth wheels, but there's a lot of these camp kitchens where the countertop's really high. Like, my daughter could still come over here and wash her hands. And some of these fifth wheels, she'd never see what she was doing. She'd splash water everywhere. Now, thankfully, that stuff would be just fine, but I still don't want water splashed everywhere. Now, the little shelf tub things over here, they're lightweight, they're simple, effective, and frankly, the fact that they're see-through I think is kind of brilliant, because I can look in there and I can see where everything is. Or you can take them out, decorate however you please, do whatever you want with it, I do suppose. Direct entry bathroom door, we kind of talked about it inside. Remember, it does have a deadbolt to keep, you know, surprises out. Again, I've talked about this in other videos, but if it's a bear, they're going to come in no matter what. But at least that deadbolt will give you, I don't know, half a second to get out of here. Now, the power awning is nicely sized. I mean, you've got a lot of wide open campsite acreage over here. It is easy tilt as well. A lot of awnings are just like this one, the Solera awnings. 2 fingers, pull down, and there you go. Now the awning arm is tilted, and you can get some rainy day runoff. Pro tip from Uncle Josh, the RV nerd, don't push up here when you're putting the awning back up. Grab here or grab here. Don't push up with your hand like that. So now the question is, what if I left it like that and retracted the awning? Good news is it ain't gonna hurt a thing. This awning is designed to be able to be retracted, even if it is, you know, off kilter and kittywampus, which is an RV nerd technical term, by the way. It took me many, many years to grasp the proper use and knowledge of that phrase. But the idea here is that the awning will straighten itself out. Now, you've also got little backlighting behind the outside speakers, but I like how these speakers are down here instead of way up here. When the speakers are up high, you have to turn them up really loud and blow away the neighbors. And chances are they don't like your good music because they like bad music. We've all seen that happen. Now, they have swapped away from the LCI stable steps to the MORryde stable steps, and I like what they're doing here. Adjusting these has never been easier. Instead of the pull pins where that hole goes, there's a little almost like drawbridge style lock right there, so that when you are ready to drop that leg, you just grab it, pull it down to the ground, and now it's sturdy and secure. It is so much easier. And as a person who manipulates thousands of these steps every year, I know I'm really glad to see that. So thank you, MORryde. Now you might notice there's a nice little rubber door stopper over there, but there isn't a dedicated holdback. That is because next to this extra large handle, we have ourselves an anti-slam door. That even if you fling it, it still doesn't bang against the side of the trailer, but it's not hard to move. The idea here is that it never will bang against the side of the trailer. Now, what is smart on this floor plan is both the bathroom door and the main entry door won't hit an awning arm. That way, because if you hit those awning arms, they're designed to go up and down, in and out. They're not designed to go left and right. If you hit them sideways, they're done, son. Well, now you just don't got to worry about it. Now, up front here, below the headboard of the master bed area, we have a simple side mount solar prep plug. That is going to be very handy for those portable panels, which, by the way, that 12-volt fridge that we saw inside, when it's first getting down to temp, it'll draw 10 or 11 amps off a battery. When it is down to temp and then the compressor has to kick back on, it will only run at about 3 or 4 amps. So if you're taking a look here, this solar charge plug is rated for up to 10 amps. It means that you can run that fridge a lot before you've ever got to worry about it, essentially, is what it comes down to. Because in the meantime, you're going to be running some other lights and things like that. And little detail stuff like this. They keep the handles up out of the way. This big cattle prod looking thing on the bottom, that is to be able to twist those and lock those T handles on these strong arm stabilizer jacks. This is an override for our power tongue jack, but this is the cordless jack bit I was telling you about earlier. As opposed to power jacks, which are heavy and more expensive, you take a power drill that you probably already have, zippity zap, and that's it. That's all it takes to put that thing up and down. It will be faster, lighter, less expensive, and more stable still than power stabilizer jacks. Now the strong arms, that are now present on both manual and power jacks on Wildwoods, they certainly help. Remember, that is an update that supersedes some information I've put out on some previous videos. I want to put that back there before I forget about it and put it in my pocket. Now, that is a big pass-through, as you noticed. We got magnet holdbacks to get in and out. This thing is simple, easy, a lot of fun. That's what these Wildwoods are. Remember, stay tuned after the credits of the video here so you can see a full in-depth explanation of that VersaLounge. It's like 5 minutes. And short of that, if you need anything, whether it's hitching, pieces, parts, trades, financing, truck and trailer package deals, RV delivery, and everything in between, we only do it all here at Haylett RV. Well, not all. We don't do hidden fees. Sorry about that. You know, we apologize for the convenience. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy Haylett camping, everyone. So starting now, keep in mind that this is just generic footage to show you how the VersaLounge works in all its different variations. Because we carry so many Wildwoods, and this is available in so many models, and it takes a lot of time to juggle between all these different formats to do my job properly, I thought I'd kind of record something a little more generic, and I think you can definitely get the idea. So first of all, in the super slides of Wildwoods, you see that they do have the blackout kind of roller shades. What is really nice is they have slide side breeze windows. I just have those covered up so that window all the way down there on the end will open for airflow, regardless of what configuration you have the seating in. So if you're looking at it right now, this is what I call traditional, where you've got yourself, a U-dinette or a 2-bench dinette, because there are variants of the VersaLounge both ways, depending on the floor plan you're looking at, and then a sofa over here. And that is a very normal configuration. You don't, see a whole lot of variance there. But if you take note, that rear, the seat back closest to us on that U-dinette, it looks a little different. That's because it's removable. So if you don't want it there, it doesn't have to be there. And that's what's really cool about this thing. This is like phase 1 of about 5 of the VersaLounge arrangements. You can just create this wide open kind of super dining lounger hybrid combo job. Now that's a very technical term, I understand if you need to back the footage up a little bit to pick up what I'm putting down right there, but you folks, you're tuned into Haylett RV. I think you're pretty sharp. What's kind of cool about this is it kind of makes it easy to sort of slide over the table, slide over to the seating. There's really no like one way that you have to use this. It's just the way that works best for you and your family. Next, it folds down into one super slide, super seating sleeper setup. I know that's a lot of alliteration for one thing in RV, but you get the idea. Now, what I love about this is found, the VersaLounge setup like this is found in all Super Slide, Wildwood, and X-Lights once again. Now, you tend to find a lot of Bunkhouse models in those families, but they make quite a few couples campers too. So that means like a Super Slide rear living couples camper can convert down into being exceptionally guest friendly. And it's long enough that, like, I'm a tall person. If I had my head on the right hand side of the frame, and then there was a second copy of me sleeping with my head against that far wall, we might touch toes, but hey, no big deal. And most of the time you curl up and you're a side sleeper, you could make that work for a night, for a weekend. So it's good for more than just kids. It's also like adult guest friendly, or frankly, some people have really big kids and they need a little bit more than, just a conventional sleeper bunk setup. They need something longer. But one of the best and most unsung qualities of the Wildwood VersaLounge is all of this huge tote storage space that you're looking at. This is, I believe it's 20.1 cubic foot of total tote storage. They're food safe containers, so if you want to put some crackers or Oreos or snacks for the kids in there, it's not going to be contaminated if the RV, gets hot while it's in storage. You could leave stuff in here if need be, especially if they're, like non-perishable kind of things, but even if they're perishable stuff, short-term kind of thing. You see that under the sofa, there's like a drop-down face that, flops down and you can pull those totes out. They're stackable. And frankly, guys, if you don't need them, don't use them. There's nothing that says they have to stay here. They're not bolted to the camper by any stretch of the imagination. And where they're really useful is especially in bunk models, because what you can kind of do is dedicate each tote to one of the people in the RV. Like, say, the kids. And what you can do, my daughter, Chloe, what I could say is, okay, Chloe, I want you to take this tote, go upstairs to your room. There's clothes laying on your bed. I want you to put all those clothes in this and then bring it back to me. And bang, the kid's packed. It's an easy way to help get the kids involved. It's also an easy way to help keep all the kids' toys and clutter and everything, under control. Now, under the rear dinette bench on dinette models, because remember, there are some just 2-bench dinettes, so this part of the video may not necessarily apply. Please keep that in mind. But they leave it wide open. And I like that because you could stuff more totes or duffel bags down there if you're so inclined, but I have long legs, and when I sit at something for a while, I tend to lean forward, and I like to curl my legs under me. Now, that's just me, but I looked at that and said, oh my gosh, I could actually be comfortable here, whereas, you know, a lot of dinettes just, they aren't comfortable for a bigger person like me, and I think I could really get along just fine on this one over here. But I think most of the time, this is how everyone's going to have this set up, at least most folks, not everybody. I tend to speak in absolutes. It's kind of a flaw that I have, because it gives us this extra large, stretch out, kick back, relax, cuddle up with the family napping lounge over here, whatever you want to call it. Somebody called it a fainting lounge on our YouTube channel. Is that a thing? Is that like a regional thing? Is that something from down south or out west that just this little Midwestern boy I don't know about? The fainting lounge, where you can just walk up and faint on this thing? I don't know. You get the idea. Anyway, I like the fact that I could just sit in the corner. I could stretch out. And on most models where you find the Versa Lounge, like this is a good example, it will actually help you face the entertainment center more organically and give you a more enjoyable experience overall. You know, there's so many good things. Like, I haven't even talked about the accent lighting over the slide that makes the whole RV look bigger. There's so many good parts about this. And what's cool is when it is in L lounge, fainting, napping, family cuddle mode, whatever you want to call it, you don't lose a dinette. And where I think this is perfect is if you do have kids or guests like this, if you're in a bunkhouse, you still have a little spot where you could sit down, make the kiddos a sandwich or, you know, Hot Pocket or whatever. You get the idea. Hot Pocket. And please don't sue me. You could still have a little spot there. They could play some little board games or something, card games in the corner. But you're still kind of right next to everybody. Everybody's still in the mix. And that's what camping's about for me. It's trying to get everybody together so that everyone has a good time. And I think this is a great way to do that. No matter your style of camping, no matter how many people are camping, this offers something for everybody. It's why I call it a Swiss Army sofa seat.